Tyler Henry rose to prominence as a young Hollywood medium whose alleged ability to communicate with the deceased brought him widespread attention and a devoted audience. Yet beneath the television appearances and celebrity readings lies a more complicated narrative shaped by emotional strain, skepticism, and personal isolation. His life story is often framed through the lens of supernatural insight, but it is equally defined by the psychological and social consequences of growing up feeling different from those around him. This account explores the development of his claimed abilities, the challenges of adolescence under scrutiny, and the emotional toll of carrying experiences that many interpret as extraordinary. It also considers how public expectation, private doubt, and community reaction intertwine to shape a life lived between belief and disbelief. Early emergence of unusual perception. Tyler Henry's reported psychic experiences began in childhood, around the age when most children are only beginning to understand their sense of identity and perception of reality. According to his accounts, he first became aware of unusual intuitive impressions that he could not easily explain or control. These early moments were not immediately interpreted as a gift, but rather as confusing sensory or emotional events that set him apart from peers. As these experiences continued, they created an internal tension between what he felt and what could be validated externally. The absence of clear explanation or guidance contributed to uncertainty, making it difficult for him to contextualize his perceptions within normal childhood development. This period marked the beginning of a lifelong negotiation between personal belief and external skepticism. A formative encounter with loss, he has described one of the most significant early moments as a prediction involving his grandmother's death, which became a pivotal emotional experience in his childhood. At the time, he reportedly sensed or perceived something unusual before receiving confirmation from his father. The event was not understood as symbolic, but as a direct confrontation with mortality, making it emotionally overwhelming for a child. Rather than providing clarity, it intensified confusion and introduced a deep association between his perceptions and loss. This experience also established a pattern in which intuitive impressions were linked with grief, shaping his later understanding of his abilities. It became a defining memory that reinforced both the intensity and burden of what he believed he was experiencing, leaving lasting emotional impressions that influenced his development. Childhood shaped by uncertainty. Following these early experiences, Tyler's childhood was marked by confusion as he attempted to reconcile ordinary life with extraordinary perceptions. Daily routines such as school, friendships, and family interactions were layered with internal experiences that he could not easily share or explain. This disconnect created a sense of separation, as he often felt that his understanding of events differed from those around him. Without a clear framework for interpretation, he navigated these experiences privately, which contributed to emotional isolation. The lack of external validation made it difficult to determine whether his perceptions were meaningful or coincidental. As a result, childhood became a period of silent questioning, where uncertainty shaped his internal world more strongly than certainty or reassurance from others. Social distance during adolescence. As he entered adolescence, Tyler Henry's differences became more visible in social environments, particularly among peers who struggled to understand his reported abilities. Conversations and interactions were often complicated by disbelief or curiosity that did not translate into acceptance. This contributed to a sense of social distance, as he found it difficult to fully integrate into peer groups that did not share or relate to his experiences. Over time, this perceived separation fostered emotional isolation, reinforcing the feeling that he occupied a distinct psychological space. While some interactions may have been neutral or supportive, the overall social dynamic leaned toward misunderstanding, which intensified his sense of being different during formative years when belonging is typically most important for emotional development. Belief systems and spiritual tension. The environment in which Tyler Henry was raised also influenced how his experiences were interpreted, particularly within frameworks shaped by religious belief. In such contexts, perceptions of psychic ability can be viewed through contrasting lenses of acceptance or skepticism, depending on doctrinal interpretation. This created additional complexity for him, as his experiences were not only personally confusing but also socially and spiritually contested. Some individuals may have interpreted his claims as spiritual sensitivity, while others regarded them with suspicion or concern. This divergence in interpretation added pressure to define his identity in relation to external belief systems. The resulting tension contributed to emotional uncertainty, as he navigated between validation and rejection within a community that held strongly differing views about the nature of such experiences. Middle school and identity formation. Middle school represented a particularly challenging period, as social awareness and peer judgment become more pronounced during early adolescence. Tyler Henry has described this stage as difficult, marked by efforts to understand himself while simultaneously managing external reactions. At this age, differences are often magnified, and deviation from perceived norms can lead to exclusion or misunderstanding. His reported experiences placed him in a position where he felt unable to fully relate to classmates, while also feeling scrutinized for qualities he did not entirely understand himself. This combination of internal uncertainty and external judgment contributed to emotional strain. The school environment, rather than offering stability, became a setting where identity formation was complicated by social dynamics that reinforced feelings of separation and difference. High school scrutiny and skepticism. During high school, these challenges persisted and in some ways became more pronounced as social structures grew more complex. Peer groups, expectations, and cultural norms intensified scrutiny of anything perceived as unconventional. Tyler Henry's experiences reportedly continued to be met with skepticism, which limited opportunities for full social integration. While adolescence often provides avenues for identity exploration and belonging, his path was shaped by ongoing questions from others about the legitimacy of his perceptions. This skepticism created emotional barriers, reinforcing a sense of being on the periphery of social life. The persistence of doubt from others contributed to an environment where acceptance felt conditional, further complicating his efforts to establish confidence in both his social identity and personal understanding of his abilities. Inner conflict and emotional strain. Beyond external reactions, Tyler Henry's internal experience was shaped by ongoing emotional conflict between belief, doubt, and interpretation. Living with perceptions that could not be easily verified created psychological tension, as he attempted to distinguish intuition from imagination or coincidence. This internal dialogue was not static but evolved over time, influenced by personal experiences and external feedback. Emotional strain emerged from the responsibility of interpreting experiences that others questioned, leading to moments of self-doubt and reflection. The complexity of this internal landscape meant that clarity was often elusive, replaced instead by fluctuating certainty. This emotional duality became a central feature of his development, shaping how he understood both himself and the meaning of the experiences he reported throughout his life. Gradual adaptation and acceptance. Over time, Tyler Henry's narrative includes a process of gradual self-acceptance, in which he learned to navigate both belief and skepticism without fully resolving the tension between them. Coping involved developing ways to function in everyday life while managing experiences that remained difficult to define. This process required emotional adaptation, particularly in learning how to respond to others' interpretations without losing personal equilibrium. Acceptance did not necessarily mean certainty, but rather the ability to coexist with ambiguity. Through this lens, his experiences became less about validation and more about integration into his broader identity. The journey towards self-acceptance reflects a broader human challenge of reconciling internal experience with external perception, especially when those two realities do not align neatly. Public life and media exposure. As Tyler Henry's public profile grew, his role as a televised medium introduced new layers of complexity to his life. Exposure to audiences brought both recognition and scrutiny, amplifying the contrast between belief and skepticism on a larger scale. Public readings and media appearances positioned him within a highly visible cultural space where interpretations of his abilities varied widely. This visibility increased pressure, as personal experiences became subject to public analysis and debate. While his career provided opportunities for connection and storytelling, it also intensified the emotional demands associated with maintaining composure under constant observation. The intersection of personal narrative and public expectation shaped his adult life in ways that extended beyond private experience into a broader cultural conversation about belief and perception. Broader reflection on identity and belief. Tyler Henry's story ultimately reflects a complex interplay between personal experience, social response, and emotional development. Whether viewed through a lens of belief or skepticism, his narrative highlights the challenges of living with perceptions that are not universally understood or accepted. From childhood experiences to public recognition, his journey illustrates how identity can be shaped by both internal conviction and external reaction. The emotional weight of isolation, scrutiny, and expectation runs throughout his story, underscoring the psychological impact of difference in environments that prioritize conformity. At its core, this account is less about confirming or denying abilities and more about examining the human experience of navigating uncertainty, belonging, and meaning in a world where perception is often contested.